Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Anne Davis, and as you can see, we've come inside the Ukrainian social club here in Leicester. And as you can also see, this is a real hub for Leicester's Ukrainian community. They've been welcoming second and third generation people here for years because it's actually been open for over 50 years. All kinds of things go on, as you'll see a bit later. Concerts go on next door and they're gathering things together for refugees as well. I don't know if you know this, but it's actually a public holiday in Ukraine today. It's National Flag Day. There's the flag behind me. We all know that blue and yellow so well. Did you know that public opinion has it that it represents the blue of a clear, peaceful sky and the yellow, the boundless golden fields of wheat, which just makes what's happening in Ukraine that little bit sadder, doesn't it? I don't think anybody here in Foster Road South in Leicester would have ever dreamt as Russia invaded its neighbour how important this building was going to become, because it really has been catapulted into the heart of Leicester's response to what is an international crisis. Now, of course, the Russian invasion began 6 months ago tomorrow. It's cost many thousands of Ukrainian lives, but this is a war that, as we know, it's affecting us all, even down to the prices we're paying for food and petrol. And the invasion prompted a whole wave of support. Hundreds turned out to the protest in Nottingham city centre. And we've also seen, of course, how desperately needed aid has been sent to Ukraine from the East Midlands. Then, as refugees, well, they started arriving, schools like this one were welcoming and supporting children like William. And so many others offered spare rooms to families that they'd never actually met. Well, our social affairs correspondent, because I never go anywhere on my own, is here as well. And that wave of generosity, Jeremy, has just been fantastic.
So many heartwarming stories we've heard, Anne, over the last 6 months. Complete strangers taken into people's homes, often treated as if they're part of the family. There are real concerns now, though, about what happens next, because, as you know, hosts made a 6-month commitment. That deadline, that 6-month deadline, fast approaching now. And we know that around a quarter of hosts have said they're not planning to continue. So, you know, councils worried that they'll have to pick up the pieces. And this is a huge challenge when you look at the numbers. This is where Ukrainian refugees are being hosted in our larger counties. Derbyshire, they've seen around 1,000 arrivals on that Homes for Ukraine scheme. Hundreds more being hosted across the cities, and in Rutland, mostly women and children as men stay on to fight. So, you know, it has been really tough for these families, Anne, but people are putting down roots now. People are getting jobs, some of them even getting homes of their own. And I've been catching up with one family near Ashbourne.
And then, in English, these are flowers.
How do you live with strangers when you can't speak the same language?
You're trying it in...
It's almost 4 months since Liz's new house guests arrived from the horrors of the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, we have 3,
Yeah.
in Bucha.
Yeah.
Nika's now started school here, while 16-year-old Valeria's finishing her Ukrainian school year online. Her mum, Svetlana's, still making the biscuits she used to decorate for a living. A taste of home.
I think what surprised me most is how fond we've become of the family. They're just really good, decent people. They seem so vulnerable.
What have you got out of it?
You know, we genuinely know that we've done a good thing. And it's not something that everybody could do. We are fortunate we've got a house that's on 3 stories and they've got the entirety of the top floor. We share kitchen, so we see each other regularly during the day. We've settled into a rhythm. So my latest news is I've just left the British Embassy.
But first, Liz had to bang some heads together. This was when she flew out to Prague to get their sponsorship visas sorted. They arrived with a phone full of memories from their old life in Bucha. Christmas, New Year, Nika's birthday celebration, and this basement where Svetlana and the girls spent a terrifying fortnight as their city was swamped by Russian troops.
We will always want to go home. I and my family very miss in home, very miss in our country, because we have friends, we have parents.
Some mornings, Svetlana will say that they were awake at 3 because their parents contacted them to say that the shelling had started or whatever, so they've been lying awake worrying to make sure that their parents survived the night. And so they're still dealing with the war back home, but they remain so positive despite everything that's going on.
Arthur quickly found a job here making these plates for construction sites. He was only allowed to leave Ukraine because an injury meant he couldn't fight.
He came in and he just wouldn't stop work. He was absolutely brilliant. He wanted to learn, wanted to teach. Nothing was a problem to him. And he's a pleasure to have, to be honest with you.
I like this work. People, very nice people. And every day the guys help me.
Good job. It's emotional, really. His first 2 wage packets, he went to the Army Navy School and brought body armour and equipment from the Army and sent them across back to his friends on the front line in Ukraine, which is just, you know, that's all he cared about, helping his friends.
And Svetlana's found a job here with one of her Ukrainian friends, washing pots and peeling spuds at a local gastropub.
Well, it's difficult, obviously, because you know there's a language barrier, but we've all got the app on our phone, so we go back and forth. And they needed something from us. We do need the help in the kitchen, and we wanted to help them as well. So yeah, it was great. Brilliant.
Working out well?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
It's helped them save enough to rent their own home, and this week they're moving in. It means their own kitchen, their own space, and these welcome gifts from their neighbours.
I'm going to be sad not to see them every day, but I think we'll still be helping to make England life work for them. They're still going to need a lot of support. They're very attached to our dogs. They love our dogs, so they will still come here and they'll see us. We're not going to lose touch. They'll still be in our lives.
Liz Grattan there with what's a real success story, but there is uncertainty for others as that 6-month commitment to hosting comes to an end. Here's the government minister in charge of refugees.
I do think the vast majority of people will not be made homeless, and that the early indications are that about 75% of sponsors will continue. And as I say, we do have other sponsors, homes for them to go to, and we are also starting a marketing and advertising campaign to get even more people. And at the moment, the British public have been absolutely brilliant.
Well, meet Sarah Russell. Sarah, you're leading the council's response, aren't you? I mean, hearing the government minister there, he seems very positive, but the reality is there's still going to be some hundreds of Ukrainian families without a home.
There are going to be lots and lots of guests that we still need to find ways to support. Some of that will be through other sponsors, some of it will be finding private rented accommodation, and some will come to councils needing that bit of extra support as well.
He talked about extra support. Do you think that's enough?
I think there is more the government can do. In particular, rent guarantee scheme would be really, really welcomed. For many of us, we'd ask a family member to support us when we were looking to rent for property for the first time. And obviously many of our guests, their families are in Ukraine still, they can't do that. So there is more we can do, and we want to do everything we can to help.
I mean, there are so many positive stories we know, but the East Midlands has already seen dozens of hosting relationships that have actually broken down. What do you do? How do you pick up the pieces with that?
It's really important that we make sure guests can stay as welcome as possible, finding them new homes quickly, making sure that children can get places in schools, that they can continue lessons and continue to find employment. We have had to put in a lot of extra resources across councils throughout the East Midlands to make sure that that support's there, but also working with incredible communities like we can see behind us.
Very briefly, I mean, it's been huge generosity. What do you see for the future?
I think people will continue to be generous, but I think we've got some real pinch points. Christmas is an obvious one, and people want to bring their own families home as well. We need to make sure we're doing everything we can so that these arrangements can continue and people can have the most settled life they can here.
Brilliant. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for speaking to us. Well, other Ukrainian refugees have actually been able to be welcomed in by their families, and you may remember Maria's story. Now, Maria had a very emotional reunion here at Oakwood in Derby. She moved in with her mum and her British stepfather. 5 months on, though, we asked Maria to reflect on the 6 months that totally changed her life.
It's very hard to imagine that the war can come to your country, to your city. Of course, I miss my home. Every day is a learning day. Well, everything is the biggest challenge. It's so changing that I thought to myself, yeah, I need to change too. So I colored my hair and then did a haircut. I like Derby very much. It's a very nice and cozy place. People are polite and kind. All my friends are my colleagues. And they are very nice and friendly. And now I'm working as project coordinator. We are doing racking. My director is very nice. Kyle, he straight away learned some phrases in Ukrainian and started to say hello in Ukrainian, and that was really nice. Finally, I have my cats at home with me. It was a very big struggle because they didn't have license to enter UK. Nobody expect so many people coming with pets. But how can we leave them? This is a part of our family. So poor things, yeah, they were in Calais for 1 month, and yeah, we thought that they will speak French already and nobody except me will understand that. Sometimes emotionally it's very hard to be a normal person because you know that in your country there is a war and you're worrying about all the friends. The positive part is when I'm talking to my friends, they're trying to live their normal lives. It's just hard that you can't help them, and I know what it feels like when it is siren. You can't do anything. You just can send some little messages to your friends. Are you alive? Are you okay? I'm always worrying about them. Every day is like a horror movie. All the future did change at 1 second. I dream that the war will end soon and we will be happy again, and every city will be rebuilt and children will be again smiley and happy, and we will be in our beautiful Ukraine again.
Beautiful, beautiful sentiments from Maria. I told you this place was big. We've come into the back room now. Now, set out here are all kinds of donations, all the toiletries and things here. There's a bit of food going on, toys, lots of underwear. And standing in amongst it, well, Wojciech, thank you so much for speaking to us. Well, runs the place here. We've just heard Maria's story. People coming afresh, coming over from Ukraine. What sort of things do they most need?
Well, you point out the first thing there was it's the toiletries in demand. They're still looking for clothing and various other things. For the children, it's mainly toys, and all the toys in here have been donated. But they're also the ones that they can take away with them and keep at home. We do what we can in terms of the welcome centre, in terms of welcoming the guests here, and we just want to support them in the best way that we possibly can.
Do you still need stuff? Because I know there was a time when we thought, oh, you know, because everything was going out to Ukraine, that, oh, crikey, you don't need all that stuff to be sending out.
Oh, absolutely. Every Friday evening we have our donation centres open from 7 till 10, 7 p.m. till 10 p.m, and we've had lots of donations. We were open 3 days a week, but the place was snowed under. We didn't have the room to store it, but luckily we've managed to get around that now. So, yeah, we have donations all the time, in particular toiletries. That's the one thing that's in the main demand at the moment.
What do people most need from you? Not in just things, but in, I guess, of emotional help, really.
Well, we are open twice a week, on a Thursday and on a Sunday, and we refer to it as our welcome centre because it's meant to be a social space where they can come and communicate with us, either in English or in Ukrainian. We provide tea, coffee, biscuits, sweets for the children. We've got a wonderful play area which you've just opened up, and the children make great use of that as well. We've got a large hall out there which we use for various concerts and get-togethers. And it's more about the social interaction and helping them in any way possible. We can't do the legal side of stuff that the councils actually organise, but we can point them in the right direction, and we can provide interpreters as well. And what are your thoughts? Do you think you're going to be welcoming more people over as the months go on? Sadly, I think definitely. I don't think this war's going to be over too soon. I think it's going to go on well into next year, if not longer. And sadly, yes, we will have more, but we will do what we can to support all our guests when they come into Leicester and Leicestershire. Star Wall, don't go away, because we're going to speak to Wall a little bit later on as well. But I told you this place is big. I keep repeating myself. Come on through here, because this is the hall that Wall mentioned. There's a concert here tomorrow because it is Ukraine Independence Day, and I'm going to be speaking to some more people a little bit later in the programme about what they think and hope for the future. But for now, thanks very much indeed, Elise. Yes, as I said, tomorrow is in fact Ukrainians' Day of Independence, where they commemorate the Declaration of Independence of 1991. We're here, as you probably remember, at Leicester's Ukrainian Social Club, and I want to introduce you to Yana. Now, Yana helps all the refugees come in. You help with the English because you teach them English. But I know there's something special that you'd really quite like to say
to the sort of community around here?
Yes, I would like to thank local people and of course host families who helped us and who helped us to feel settled and safe here. We are happy to be here, and we do appreciate what you do for us.
Oh, that's so lovely. And just tell me very briefly, what are your hopes for the future, celebrating Independence Day tomorrow?
Yes, but we hope that the war finishes, and we do hope to hug our relatives and friends.
Yeah, we all hope that too. This is Svetlana here. She's only been here for a month. What are your hopes for the future?
Just to get a normal life as we had before, safe life, to plan our leisure, to get a job, to provide good education for our kids.
Well, we wish you well. We hope that really happens. Let's leave the last word, shall we, with Wol running everything here. We know you've welcomed Ukrainians who came here willingly and those who've had to flee. What do you hope and believe the future has in store?
Unfortunately, the short-term future isn't very good. We think the war's going to continue certainly well into next year, but hopefully, we hope that it will end as soon as possible and people can get back to some sort of normality. Many of our Ukrainian guests here are looking forward to going back to their homeland and living in peace and in harmony, because that's really all they want to do. So we are helping them as much as we possibly can while they're here in Leicester and Leicestershire.
And very briefly, what's happening tomorrow? Because as we can see behind us, there's preparations underway. There's a big concert.
Yeah, it looks wonderful, doesn't it? Yeah, it's Ukrainian Independence Day tomorrow. It's 31st anniversary, and we celebrate it here in Leicester on the day it actually falls upon, not at a weekend. We've always done that. Tomorrow, this room will be full of 300 people.
Lovely,
and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your hospitality. Thank you to everyone here. And so, as Wol says, on this eve of Ukrainian Day of Independence, all our thoughts and our hearts go out to everybody whose lives have been torn apart. From everyone in East Midlands today, good night.